Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Heisman Talk, your number one source of college football news on YouTube. I'm Nate Dogg here with my co-host Devonair D. Jackson to break down another episode of Game Day Pick'ems Week 10. D, good to see you back in El Paso, Texas for our game of the week. We'll get to that game later on in the episode. But for now, I want to start off with our current records on the season. Give you a little bit of an update. D, you are currently 33-27, and I come in at 38-22. D, not the best week for you last week. Hopefully, you'll get back to it this week. I'm now 4 games ahead of you, but the season's far from over. So don't get too down on yourself, D. We'll try to get you back up there. So D, with that being said, our first game of the day is going to be Army at Air Force. This is an 11:30 kickoff a.m. First game that's a.m. all season on CBS. Air Force currently favored in this game by 2.5. D, both teams are coming off of a big loss last week to ranked teams. Who bounces back this week?
Yeah, Nate. First of all, don't talk bad about my record, man. Yeah, hopefully I bounce back, man. So in this game, man, I'm gonna go with Air Force to win it. I think that both teams run a triple option. I think Air Force does it a little bit better. I also think their defense is better. Air Force has a really tough running back in Brad Roberts. And, before the game they lost last week, they've been playing, pretty well. So give me Air Force to win this game.
Yeah, D, that's a great pick. Both teams coming into this game run heavy, as we both know, both triple option teams. This is your classic smash mouth football game of the year, besides Army-Navy later on. Army comes into this game rushing 312 yards, Air Force 318 yards. Air Force slightly better on the defensive side, only allowing 16 points per game and 281 yards total on defense. Look for running back Brad Roberts of Air Force to have a big game. He's put up great numbers for the Falcons so far this year. 845 yards, 8 touchdowns. I'm taking the Falcons as well. I think they win this one in a close one. Great pick, D. So then we go to our next game of the day. That is the number 9 Wake Forest Demon Deacons go on the road to Chapel Hill to take on the North Carolina Tar Heels. This is a 12 o'clock kickoff on ABC. North Carolina actually favored in this game by 2.5 points. And D, you can look at the record for the Tar Heels and say, oh, they're 4-4, they're not that great. But I'm telling you what, D, this team has a chance any given Saturday. So who do you have winning this game?
And they do have a chance any given Saturday. Both teams are UNC doesn't have a good record, but they have a really, really good offense, man. We know Wake Forest offense is also good. You got UNC's, tough offense, that's led by Sam Howell, sorry. Led by quarterback Sam Howell. I had a brain fart. Led by quarterback Sam Howell, and then you have Wake Forest offense led by quarterback Sam Hartman. So, the battle of the Sams, man. I'm going to take UNC. My big question, I'm taking UNC with the upset, man, because my big question though is, can the UNC defense actually slow Hartman down in their offense? I think they can. I think home field advantage will play a huge role in this game, and for that reason, I'm picking the North Carolina Tar Heels to get the upset.
D, most people would think we're crazy, but I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to take the Tar Heels as well in an upset. You read my mind perfectly. I wrote down this is the Sam Bowl, the quarterback Sam Hartman on the Wake Forest side and Sam Howell on North Carolina side. But yeah, D, I think the difference in this is Wake Forest is giving up over 200 yards rushing every single game. And North Carolina has a great back in Ty Chandler, who transferred over for Tennessee. I think he's going to have a big game. He's really going to help out Sam Howell get that play action going and also keep Sam Hartman from Wake Forest off the field. So, yeah, give me the Tar Heels in an upset. I think home field advantage plays a role in this. So then we go to our next game of the day. That is the number 3 Michigan State Spartans go on the road to play the Purdue Boilermakers. This is a 3:30 kickoff on ABC. Michigan State only favored by 3 points in this game, D. Michigan State coming off of a huge win last week. I picked them to get the upset and won. The question for me is, how is Michigan State going to handle winning? What did they do this game? D, who do you got winning?
Yeah, Nate, you definitely said the key. How does Michigan State handle winning? They want a big rivalry game. The question is, will they come in and have a letdown against a pretty good Purdue team, man? This Purdue team's a really good defensive team. And if Michigan State just walks in here and expects to win, they'll definitely come out with a loss. I'm going to take Michigan State. I really think that, Mel Tucker will be able to get his guys ready. He already talked about how, if they're not ready, they're not going to go on to the road on the bus. So, I know he's going to have them ready. If they're not serious, they'll be at home in Michigan. They won't travel, to Purdue. So, definitely give me, the Michigan State Spartans, because Mel Tucker always gets his guys ready to play.
D, the Spartans are given a 60% chance to win this game, according to ESPN.com. But Purdue has proven that they are capable of beating a top 10 team, as they already beat Iowa a couple weeks ago. So the Boilermakers could come out with this win, but I think Peyton Thorne for Michigan State, along with his dual threat on the outside, wide receivers Jaden Reed and Jalen Naylor, are going to have a great game. I think they're really going to limit Kenneth Walker in this game. I don't think you'll see him have as big of a game as he had last week against Michigan. Purdue is really good against the run, and that's a key as to why Iowa lost that game, because they couldn't throw the ball, right? But Michigan State has the ability to throw the ball with Peyton Thorne. Purdue offensively, they struggle in the run. They've averaged, I think, 97 yards per game rushing, which isn't very good. And with that being said, Aiden O'Connell is not going to be able to do much against this Michigan State Spartan defense. So give me the Spartans in this one to win big. So then we go to our next game of the week. And this is a pretty big matchup, D. I think you and I were both surprised that GameDay didn't choose to go here. That is, in College Station, the number 13 Auburn Tigers go on the road to College Station to take on the number 14 Texas A&M Aggies. I actually have the helmets up behind me. This is a 3:30 kickoff on CBS. A&M currently favored by 4.5 points, D. This is a huge game in the SEC West, even bigger game for Auburn, as if they win out, they go to the SEC championship game. So, D, who do you have winning this game?
Yeah, man, definitely a big game for both teams. Huge implications for Auburn, man. They really have an opportunity here. If they do win out, like you said, they can go to the SEC championship. My big question here, man, we talked about it, last week, will Bo Nix magic, show up? Will it happen? Texas A&M has a really stout defense. They have a good defense. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. It took me forever to pick this game. It's such a hard game to pick. You got Texas A&M with the home field advantage. The reason I'm going to pick Auburn, I'm going with Auburn because I think they have the better quarterback, and I think that their defense will be able to get enough stops on Zach Calzada. Even though that place will be rocking, that 12th man is always crazy. Even though it's always crazy, I think that Auburn's defense will get enough stops and be able to put up enough points to beat A&M. But it'll be a close game, definitely.
D, I mean, as you mentioned and as we know, Auburn coming off of a huge win against Ole Miss last week. Now they got to go on the road and play another top 15 team. Tough task for the Tigers. On the other side, A&M is well rested after a much-needed bye week this past week. Finally, I have a little bit of time to go over some new schemes on offense and some new plays. A&M given a 62.5% chance to win. Tigers quarterback Bo Nix has looked great. I picked the Tigers last week. I think Bigsby has looked great in the run game. But D, I'm going with A&M. I'm going with the Aggies. I really think that this team is going to surprise all of the college football nation. Look, you can look early on and say, oh, well, they lost to Mississippi State. They lost to Arkansas. But I'm telling you, this is a new team. They're re-energized. Zach Calzada looks comfortable in the pocket. And a lot of people forget they beat the number 2 team in the nation. And people on Twitter are saying, oh, well, aside from beating Alabama, who have they beaten? Whoa. When has someone ever said that Alabama or beating Alabama was not a great win, if not the best win you could have? How many teams beat Bama? Just one so far, and that's A&M. So, yeah, give me the Aggies. I think College Station's going to be rocking. Like I said, they're healthy. Big key for this game, look for tight end Jalen Whittemire. He's got 25 receptions, 353 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's going to have a great game for the Aggies and help them get this win at home. Give me Texas A&M, D. So then we go to the Big 12, where the number 11 Oklahoma State Cowboys go to Morgantown, Virginia, to take on the West Virginia Mountaineers. This is a 3:30 kickoff on ESPN. Oklahoma State only favored by 3 in this game. They're given a 54% chance to win, according to ESPN.com. D, who comes out in this Big 12 shootout?
Yeah, man. I think that it's a tough game to pick. West Virginia playing at home, they usually play pretty well at home. But give me Oklahoma State, man. The reason why is because defense travels, and they have a pretty dang good defense. And I think that it'll travel up to West Virginia, and I think that they'll be able to get the victory against West Virginia. I think on offensively they're good enough to score points. And I don't think West Virginia's defense is decent, but I don't think it's good enough to stop Spencer Sanders and Jaylen Warren from scoring touchdowns. So, yeah, give me Oklahoma State.
D, to me, this is one of the biggest coin flip games of the day. This is a West Virginia team that only lost to Oklahoma 16-13 only a few weeks ago. Granted, I was under Spencer Rattler. They've since changed quarterbacks and are dominating now. But yeah, Spencer Sanders on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, he's been on and off all season. Some games he's looked like an elite quarterback. In other games, it's like, how is this guy starting, right? On the other side, for the Mountaineers, this is a team that can beat you any day at home. I really believe the Mountaineers are that good of a team, even though you look at their record and say, oh, well, they're 4-4 as well, Another 4-4 team that could really make some noise. They've got a great quarterback in Jarrett Dodge, who's thrown over 2,000 yards and 11 touchdowns this season. But yeah, I think the Cowboys are going to show up. I'm taking Oklahoma State as well in this one. Give me Oklahoma State by a field goal. So then we go to really a great SEC East matchup where the Tennessee Volunteers hit the road to go play the number 18 Kentucky Wildcats. This is a 7 p.m. kickoff on ESPN2. Kentucky only favored by 1 point in this game. D, who do you have winning this close one?
Yeah, man, I think the spread actually just changed not too long ago, and now it's even, man. I think it's an even spread now. Yeah, I was looking at it, and it was, Kentucky was favored by 1, but I think it changed. And so, that just shows that Vegas, they don't know. They basically think it's a coin flip, man. And that makes it an even more tough game to pick. But that's what we get paid the big bucks for. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Kentucky, man. I'm gonna go with Kentucky to win the game. I don't know, man. I think that Kentucky's defense will be able to shut down Tennessee's offense and do enough on offense to score touchdowns and be able to win a close game. So yeah, give me Kentucky to win the game.
Not so fast, D. Not so fast. Let me tell you what. Both teams have lost 2 of their last games. Tennessee is coming off of a bye week, and I really think that gives them the edge. I really do. Hendon Hooker has really come into his own this season with the Volunteers, and he's put up monster numbers, over 1,500-plus yards, 17 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. Tennessee doesn't turn over the ball much, and their defense has been average, good enough to hold other offenses to minimal points. But D, yeah, I'm taking the Volunteers. I really believe that Tennessee has the better quarterback in this game. I think Will Levis has been too up and down. They rely on him too much. If they are to win this game, though, D, they're going to have to really rely on Will Levis and Chris Rodriguez in the run game. But I don't see it. I'm taking Tennessee in an upset, D. if it's -1. But yeah, I'm taking the Volunteers.
Yeah, it'll be a close one, man. It'll definitely be a close one.
Absolutely. So, D, then we head out to the Mountain West again on this season. We've really enjoyed getting to know these teams out there, and the fans have responded really well. In this case, the Boise State Broncos head out to Fresno to take on the number 23 Fresno State Bulldogs. This is a 7 o'clock kickoff on CBS SN. Fresno State currently favored by 5 points. D, who do you have winning this matchup?
Yeah, man. Boise State comes in. You know, they have a tough defense, man. Their defense is, statistically, pretty tough. They fly around and everything. But they have to go up against that guy, Jake Haener, man. He's a heck of a quarterback. We've talked about him multiple times here on Heisman Talk. And he just has the offense humming. It's a really, really good offense. It gets better and better each week. And so for that reason, they're playing at home, so their defense will get a boost as well. So give me Fresno State to win this game, man.
Great pick, D. Great pick. BYU, another one of those teams that's record won't show it, but they are capable of winning big games. They already upset BYU earlier this year for those who don't really pay attention to the games out west. And that was a huge win because BYU is a great team. But, yeah, like you said, Jake Haener, my goodness. Almost 3,000 yards passing, D. 2,888 yards so far and 23 touchdowns. What a year for him. And defensively, the Bulldogs are stout, man. They've only given up 20.8 points per game thus far. And another big reason for Fresno State taking this game, I'm taking the Bulldogs. Boise State can't run the ball. They're another team that can't run the ball. They average less than 100 yards per game running the ball. But their defense is stout. But in the end, I'm taking the Fresno State Bulldogs as well. Give me Fresno State, and I think Fresno State, hot take, is going to win the Mountain West Conference.
Yeah.
Then we head to our game of the week. You're there in El Paso, Texas. This is the game of the week that GameDay should have picked. But D, we're showing some love for them. I've got the helmets behind me. UTSA goes on the road to take on the UTEP Miners. This is a 10:15 kickoff on ESPN2. UTSA currently favored by 11 points in this one. D, if you're a fan of college football in general, this is a game that you really, really want to stay up for. Even if you have to get a cup of coffee, this is going to be a great, great matchup. Great in-state and in-conference rivalry. So, D, who do you have winning this game?
Yeah, Nate, this is kind of a tough game to pick. You wouldn't think so because you have one undefeated team and one team with 2 losses. But it's still a tough game to pick. UTEP playing at home. My big question is, can UTEP's offense score with UTSA's offense? We know about the weapons that UTSA has, namely and Sincere McCormick, the running back, man. He had a over 200-yard rushing game, earlier in the season against Memphis, and he's been having a great season this year. Can UTEP's offense score with those guys? Their defense, I think, can step up and kind of contain, probably not stop UTSA's offense, but contain UTSA's offense. But can they score? I don't think so. I think UTSA is going to continue on and stay undefeated. So for that reason, I'm gonna pick UTSA.
Yeah, look, UTSA, in my honest opinion, got screwed by the playoff committee. They're 8-0. They didn't get in the top 25. And you know what? That just puts a chip on their shoulder, D. This is going to be a game. This is going to be a statement game for the Roadrunners. They are hungry. They want to prove themselves. They've already proven themselves. They're 8-0. But they want to prove themselves to the nation and show that, hey, we are worthy of being in the top 25. Like you said, UTEP's defense is great. One of their greatest stats is they're only allowing 197 yards passing per game, which nationally that's pretty dang good, and only 97 yards on the ground. So I don't see Sincere McCormick necessarily putting up big numbers like he has in previous games. So they're really going to have to rely on quarterback Frank Harris to do the majority of the heavy lifting in this one. On the other side, quarterback Gavin Hardison for UTEP really has struggled this season. Only 10 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. And let me tell you what, that UTS defense, UTSA defense is something special. My goodness. I think they had 2 pick sixes a couple of games ago. I'm looking for UTSA to win this game big. And when I mean big, I mean cover the spread and then some. I have them winning by 21 points, D. I think this is the game that puts them on the map back in the top 25. Birds up. And shout out to all my family out in San Antonio. D, that's a wrap for today. When we come back next week, we're going to discuss our Week 10 Heismans of the week, and we'll jump ahead to our Week 11 Game Day Pick'ems. And trust me, we're just getting started. There's some great games ahead. Great games. Great in-state rivalries coming up later on in the season, so you won't want to miss out. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe down below to become a part of the Heisman Talk family. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and make sure that bell notification is turned on so you can stay up to date when we post our latest video. Get ready. College football is alive and well. As always, this is Nate Dogg and D signing off.